Hey everyone, welcome to Pai's Kitchen. Today we are going to look at some kitchen tools. Now, a viewer has asked me to share all of the different tools that I use on the show, which I thought was a great idea, but that would make a very long show. So what I've done for you is I've picked out my top 5 favorite kitchen tools. Now, these are just small tools that are inexpensive, easy to find, easy to store, but they are so useful that they're gonna make your life a lot easier. So the first one on the list is this fine mesh skimmer. Now, I get this at the Asian grocery store. You probably have seen me use this a lot. Now for stock, because this is so fine that when you skim, it won't only pick up the sort of scum, it'll also pick up the fat that floats out, but it'll let go of all the water. I love that because before I got this, I just used a ladle to skim all the scum. And you know, when you use a ladle, you always get a little bit of water along with it. It's kind of inevitable. And then when you deep fry, there's always little crumbs, especially when you do things with panko on the outside. There's always little burny bits that fall to the bottom. You want to get rid of those bits. You don't want to deep fry and let those things sort of hang out because they'll burn, and that's how your oil quality gets bad really fast. This is the size that I use most of the time, but there's also a little tiny one like this. It's so cute. I got this because I discovered that this one is a little too big for when I use a regular medium-sized pot. It's really awkward. I mean, it's almost as big as the pot lid, pot mouth itself. By the way, this was $4.99 and this was $3.99 Canadian dollars when I got them. It also makes great stocking stuffers if you're giving it to someone who loves to cook. Next is one of my most loved possessions. It is this small offset spatula. You may think that this is used a lot in the pastry world, and you're right. When you're decorating cake and things like that, it becomes a very useful tool. But I actually use this a lot for just lifting food. So I think it's a great pie lifter. It's great when you need to get desserts or things out of a pan and you've only got like an awkward angle to go in. It's also great because it's so thin when you need to run something along the edges of a cake pan. In the restaurant industry, this is actually used a lot for plating. So when I worked in the restaurant, you know how chef jackets, there's 2 little slots on the sleeve. Some chefs will actually put one of these in their little sleeve pocket because they use it so much for plating. Because it's so small, when you plate it, it won't knock off things that you've already put on a plate, because in restaurant things are nice. If you're using a big old spatula, it's just awkward and it might knock things over. So this is so useful. Right now you might think that, oh, I'm not going to use that very much, but trust me, once you have it, you find all sorts of reasons to use this little tool. Again, really inexpensive, super easy to find. Gotta get one of these. Dishers. Now, honestly, I don't use these too often, but when I need it because there's no other tool that can do as good of a job as these. Now, a lot of people call these ice cream scoopers, but that is not what they're made for, okay? I know I've even used it for ice cream before, but it's not supposed to be used for that. This is called a disher, technically, and it's used for portion control. When I made my shrimp cakes, I use it to portion out my shrimp cakes. If you make cookies, you can make evenly sized cookies. Ice cream can be a little too hard. If your ice cream is soft, no problem. But if it's hard, it'll actually, this little piece here that moves around, it won't be able to go through and you'll actually dislodge this mechanism. I've done it before because I was trying to force it for ice cream, knowing that it's not an ice cream scooper. But a little note about these is they have a size written on them. So right here, or sometimes at the end, at the bottom like here, it'll have a number on it. This is a number 30, this is a number 40. The bigger the number, the smaller the scoop. That's right, because that number talks about how many scoops it'll take to fill up a quart. And a quart, for those of you who are not familiar with this system, is a little bit less than a liter. It's about 946 milliliters. When you buy it, feel the spring. It should be firm and solid. So it should sort of resist your grip a little bit. If it's really easy, that means the spring is weak and those will break quite easily. And they're so much fun. once you have them, you want to portion everything. And now, the Microplane zester. Now, you might think that this is only used for zesting oranges, lemons, lime, for using the zest to flavor things. I've used it before in a number of recipes, but there are actually so many things you can grate. For grating garlic to get it really, really fine in marinades, to make garlic butter. It's also great for grating Parmesan cheese over your pasta. Makes cheese really fine and fluffy and beautiful, and it mixes and melts easily. A little dusting of chocolate as garnish on your ice cream or on your dessert, on your mousse. I also use this a lot for palm sugar because it makes the palm sugar so fine that it literally dissolves instantly. It's slower, so if you're doing a lot, I wouldn't grate, 2 tablespoons of palm sugar on here. But if you just need a little bit, things just need a little extra sweetness, it's perfect. You can also grate your palm sugar on buttered toast to make a palm sugar toast. So many useful things. I also have one of these. Now, this is uncomfortable to grip. However, this one has 2 sizes, a bigger one and a smaller one. I find that most of the time I just use this medium size one. By the way, Microplane is actually the brand of this one, but it's one of those things where it's so widely used that the brand has become sort of the word for the tool itself. Microplane makes other things as well, but if somebody say, hey, I need a Microplane, usually they're talking about this thing. And last but not least is this rubber tube. Now, a little caveat here. I usually am against single-purpose tool, okay? Usually I like to buy things that can be used for multiple things, like everything else we've talked about thus far. But for this one, I made a little exception because, first of all, this was $3, so, it's not like I had to think hard about it. Second of all, it's brilliant. So this is a garlic peeler. Normally, when I peel garlic, what I do is I smash it with a knife and I peel it. The peel comes off easily. There have been many, many occasions where I actually wish I could peel the garlic without having to smash it. Okay, one situation being I actually want the garlic to not be smashed when it's peeled. Like if I'm going to grate it with my Microplane. Another situation is I am using a mortar and pestle or something to pound it, and I don't need to get out my board or my knife or really anything else. But because I want to peel garlic quickly, I have to get out my board and my knife, smash it. So it's a bit annoying sometimes. So you take your garlic that you have, dismantled, and you stick it in here, and then you can do many cloves at a time. I feel like an infomercial, but trust me, I'm not being paid by these people to do this. And then you just roll it with your hand, and then a few times only, and then the garlic comes out. Oh, that didn't work for this one very well. Let's try this again. There you go. The only downside to this that I will tell you is you can't put cloves that are super big and super small all in one go because the little ones won't get rubbed because the big ones are kind of, shielding it from the rubber, right? If you like to have garlic already peeled and ready to go in the fridge, you can put your garlic cloves in the fridge and then there it is, already peeled. And this is also why this is better than peeling it by smashing, because if you've smashed it, then you've opened it up, then all the smell, it doesn't last as long, right? Once it's broken. Oh, if you didn't know, garlic doesn't actually smell when it's not broken. It smells nothing. No garlic. Garlic only smells if you start making a cut or a bruise in it. That's when the smell comes out. So, kind of a gimmicky little thing, but so useful and so brilliant. I love it. And there you go. These are my top 5 favorite kitchen tools. Now, I would love to know what is your favorite small kitchen tools. Okay, we're talking small here, not big appliances. Maybe one of these days I'll do a show on appliances because I got a favorite set of those as well. But definitely let me know in the comments. Maybe you'll know something I don't know and you'll change my life. And so I hope you enjoyed today's episode and I will see you next time.